The new Shane Meadows film, Somers Town, may have had a tiny budget, a reported 500 grand, but this does not diminish its artistic ambitions or emotional charge. The title, Somers Town, comes from a small area of London that lies between Euston, St Pancras and King's Cross and Camden, a stone's throw from where we are here at Guardian headquarters, and it tells the story of a friendship between two boys. Tomo, played by This Is England star Thomas Turgoose, the wandering, plucky teen from Nottingham, and Marek, played by Polish actor Piotr Jagiello, son of an immigrant worker on the Eurostar building site. Both youths find they share an affection for a French waitress, and it's this amorous awakening that forms the glorious, beating heart of this small, monochrome delight of a film. I spoke to Thomas Turgoose to find out more about his role in the film and his burgeoning acting career. But before we hear from him, let's go into Somers Town's Greasy Spoon Cafe, where Tomo is showing Marek how to charm a lady.
So, do you like photography, arts and writing and things?
Yeah, I do actually.
Cool. I mean, I'm actually a painter myself.
Really?
Yeah, I do everything. I do glasses, wine bottles, anything.
Really?
You name something, I'll tell you if I've done it.
A flower.
Yeah, I've done flowers, I've done fruit, cakes. Yeah. So I do women sometimes, and I actually did it wasn't awesome, but it was an okay drawing of the Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
Show it to me.
Yeah, of course I will, yeah. Maybe I should do you sometime.
Maybe.
Thomas Turgoose, welcome to Film Weekly at The Observer. Thanks so much for joining us. It gives me a real thrill to see you back on the big screen in Shane Meadows' Somers Town after watching you make your debut in This Is England. So in Somers Town, Tomo, was working with Shane any different to doing it in This Is England? Are his techniques the same? Did you get to improvise, or is it very strict what you're going to do each day?
Well, working with Shane was exactly the same, except I knew what was what, so I sort of knew when to do stuff, and I knew when people said something, I knew what it meant, and it was a lot easier. But it was just like being back on This Is England, like working with Shane, because like his improvisation and like being friendly on set and things. So it was definitely good to work with him again. Yeah,
it's very funny, Somers Town, as well, isn't it? I think people will not be aware how sort of amusing it is and the banter it is between you and your co-star. Because I mean, obviously, Marek is he's a Polish actor. Was it difficult to kind of banter off him because he doesn't speak English as his native language?
No, he was really, really good. He's an amazing actor. Actually, he's I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, he come to England to do this Somers Town, and he said that he couldn't speak all that well English. But then by the time he'd finished, he could speak pretty much perfect English, and he was doing interviews in English with me and Shane, and we was all like really impressed about how he'd done his English. But I mean, working with him, it was quite simple because I mean, it made it funny because of like his accent that he's got. The accent that he's got, his Polish accent.
Yeah.
It was quite funny, and Tomo's just like, what you on about? And I think it's just naturally funny.
Yeah. I think you're all naturally funny, and Perry Benson as well, when he kind of takes you under his wing.
Perry Benson, he's probably one of the funniest guys I've ever worked with. He's amazing, Perry.
Because you worked with him in This Is England as well, wasn't it? He was one of the kind of the racist skinhead gang that you were with.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And so that Shane does like to create these little families. And is there a way that Shane sort of seems to have adopted you the last sort of 4 or 5 years? Has he been a father figure? Because I know he's about to become a father himself. Is he going to be a good dad?
Yeah, I think he'll be an amazing dad, and I'm really, really looking forward to Joe to have a baby, and it'll be amazing, and I think Shane will be the best dad in the world.
Yeah, is that how you look at? I mean, I know you've got your own dad as well. I've met him. So I don't want to offend your own dad, but Shane has been bringing you through quite nicely, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's been looking after me in the film world, and also in my own life. Like, if I've ever got problems, then I can always ring him, and he'll speak to me, and he'll always take his time out to speak to me. So
yeah,
and I do respect Shane for that.
So what about your life that he's changed? Because I mean, I know you walk down the street now, girls shouting out Tomo to you. You're a sort of a little rock star in that kind of young people's world. I don't know about what that world is, like Facebook or something like that, but I'm assuming that you're pretty popular in those circles now.
Well, on my Facebook, I mean, I I never really get messages from my friends. It's all people saying that about This Is England and they can't wait for Somers Town. And I mean, it's nice to sort of have this, and it does make you feel quite special. But then, I mean, I don't really consider myself anyone different when I'm in Grimsby, if you know what I mean. I'm just normal Tomo in Grimsby, so it's quite cool.
So what would you say, Tomo, that you're an actor now?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'd like to say I am, yeah, and I'd like to say that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, because when I met you first, when you were doing This Is England, it was like, well, I want to be a footballer. I don't really know. I've never really acted before. It wasn't part of my plan. And suddenly now you're still only 2-3 years on, and you're now like, I think you're going to be an actor now, mate.
Yeah, that's definitely changed in what I want to do now. I definitely 100% want to be an actor.
Because you're very good in Somers Town. I think that's the surprise. You're lovely in This Is England, of course, but that could be a one-off. But in Somers Town, I think we see a side to you that is new. That you're funny, you're warm, but you can also be hurt, and you can also be kind of vulnerable. Have you taken any lessons in acting since, or is it just it comes very easily to you?
No, I've not taken no lessons. I mean, the only things that I've really done is my drama at school for my GCSE, but I've never done any acting classes or anything like that. So.
What did you get in your GCSE?
I've not found out yet. I found out on Thursday.
Be funny if you fail.
I don't think I'll do all that great because of my coursework, to be honest. But
really? Why is it? That's the written work, is it?
Yeah, and I don't think I'll do all that great in that. But I'll wait and see again.
Yeah, and I do hear that there's some good news this week. I think yesterday, Tomo, you got some good news. You got another part in a new film that's got nothing to do with Shane Meadows at all. What's that one?
It's called The Scouting Book for Boys. I think it's based on a book. I think I've been told it's based on a book.
Well, you'll have to get reading that book at some point.
Yeah, and it's a really, really nice script actually, and a lot of my friends have been for parts in it, and it should be a really, really nice film to do, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's filmed in Norfolk, so that should be a really nice few weeks.
Well, from me, if I was grading your GCSE acting, Tomo, I'd give you an A, mate. So let's hope that the board, if they ever get their scripts or their results down to Grimsby at the moment, the Post's not too good with these things, that they come up with the same mark, because I think you're fabulous in Somers Town, and it's great to see you growing up and becoming an actor professionally, and I think I wish you the best of luck with it, mate.
Thanks a lot.
You can see Thomas Turgoose in Somers Town as it's released across the UK this Friday, the 22nd of August. And I'm delighted to say that I'm now joined in the studio by none other than the roving Guardian film critic, Zan Brooks, to take a look at this week's releases. Hello, Zan.
Hi, Jason. Welcome back.
Thank you for standing in for me for the last couple of weeks.
I can now get out of your shoes.
Yeah, exactly. You can get into Somers Town instead for us, Sam, because we just heard from Tomo there. It's a film that I've been very fond of for quite a while, because it's a lovely little black and white piece of work. It's only 72 minutes or 74 minutes, they're trying to say. But I think that the brevity is the soul of wit in this instance.
I really liked Somers Town. It's a beautiful film. I think Shane Meadows is one of the most talented directors we've got around. I think This Is England was maybe the best British film of last year.
Yeah.
And Somers Town isn't quite as good, but it's very, very good indeed. It's set in the Somers Town area around St Pancras. It's a little coming of age story. It's beautifully acted. It's moving. It's also funded entirely by Eurostar.
Now, you've got a bit of a problem with this.
I do have a bit of a problem with this. I was saying it's like having a really good friend who occasionally turns around and tries to sell you a sort of timeshare villa. You really like them, but you start to mistrust them a little bit. And there are a few slightly dodgy plugs. Not many, just sort of dropped here and there within the film. And then, without giving too much away, the film actually does go over to Paris on the Eurostar at one stage, and it's all absolutely perfectly goddamn splendid over in Paris. And there's Montmartre, and there's the Eiffel Tower, blah, blah, blah.
I would counter this now, because, I mean, if you did live in Somers Town and suddenly this great whacking terminal was built there, that's one of the great kind of homages to Isambard Kingdom Brunel, it has changed the face of that area. Somers Town is now dominated by the Eurostar, whether they like it or not. I mean, in the way that kind of Guggenheim effect had on Bilbao, maybe Eurostar will have that effect on Somers Town, so they can hardly escape it, these residents. So perhaps that is a realistic portrayal of what's going on in that period of the certain time in a certain area of London.
It may well be, but the fact that you've got Eurostar funding this film entirely makes you suspicious of its message. Maybe you shouldn't be suspicious of its message. Maybe this is absolutely a truthful portrait. Maybe people in Somers Town are walking around saying, look, that station is amazing. Wouldn't I like to go to Paris on one of those trains? Maybe that's what they're talking about.
Some of them, I think, they've got free tickets as well, some of them. I did a Q&A with the residents of Somers Town who were slightly annoyed about Eurostar funding this thing as well, because some of their pubs are disappearing and some of their lifestyle is changing. So I do think it's dangerous. I think if Shane Meadows had accepted, say, studio dollars and Americans had said, yeah, this is England, great, we want that guy, he'd have to kind of deal with, putting Marlboro cigarette packets in his movies.
It's rife, it's everywhere. Most American films are riddled with product placement. Maybe you're even having to make compromises if you go to Film 4 or Pathé or an established production company to get money. This is what filmmakers do. This is what independent filmmakers have to navigate every single time they make a film. So it's very easy to say, because it's funded by a private company, this is therefore a corrupt commercial. Not necessarily, because these things are happening all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shane's cleverly subverted. I think he's taken the Eurostar dollar or euro, and I think he's subverted. I think he's played with it, and he's kind of shown a community in ebb and in flow, and the difficulties of what happens.
And what has to be pointed out is that I was speaking to people at Eurostar, and they were saying we wanted to highlight the regeneration of Somers Town. Somers Town still looks kind of drab and grim. There are kind of feral youths on the street who kind of beat up and mug the Thomas Turgoose character. It's not like some paradise on earth here. So Shane Meadows isn't selling out and basically giving this kind of airbrushed Disneyland view of Somers Town.
No, absolutely. But I do think with him and his cinematographer here, Natasha Breyer, who's somebody he hadn't worked with before, a foreign cinematographer, has brought this wonderful kind of sort of Godardian sense of alienation to it. It looks a bit like Alphaville. It looks a bit like Abu de Souffle, and there's this romance running through it. And I do think that Tomo is fabulous. We just heard from him. I think he's fabulous in it. He is a kind of little Belmondo in it.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's got the sort of the pugnacious kind of air, the dry wit. And the kind of the human side to it. The character he plays in it is very moving. It's not sentimental, but it is very affecting.
One of the problems that I have with the movie, in fact, the only problem is that, again, not much happens. That doesn't bother me, but that it is so short. And I'm wondering if people we as critics kind of say, Somers Town's the film of the week, brilliant, everyone leads on it. I'm sure Peter Bradshaw will lead on it, and I know Philip French is leading on it in the weekend. Everyone says, great, we must go and see Somers Town. Here's my tenner. 70 minutes, you're going, what? Where's it gone? Where is this film? It's not a night out, is it?
I guess it's not, but I'd rather see a kind of a small good film than a really, really long bad one. And I kind of think most people would as well. And also bear in mind that Eurostar initially commissioned this as a 9-minute short film. So Shane Meadows has done very well to crank it out to 70 minutes.
As garrulous on screen as he is in real life. I would have just liked to see maybe tacked on some short. I haven't seen Shane Meadows' shorts for years. The Where's the Money, Ronnie, or Small Time, and there's loads of them. I'd like to see those sort of put on as a kind of
when
feature.
Eurostar put out their big DVD of Somers Town, maybe they'll have those in there as well as like a little free ticket or something.
And maybe we get to see it on the back of screens in Eurostar as well.